We had an agreement because we knew that she would be tempted to interfere, or if you're looking at it in a positive way, not interfere, nourish, nurture, cradle, whatever nice word you want to use, envelope the child in a loving way, right? But that can interfere with the parent's idea, who's now in between the grandparent and the grandchild. And rightfully so, I guess, because we gave birth to them, or however you want to view that. That's a whole nother Pandora's box. Even if you say, oh, I'm not into this city living and this system, it's too systematic. I want to live on the beach. I want to pluck mangoes and have sex with wonderful men and women and have wonderful babies and live in a polygamous society. I want to, look at the moon and breathe in the sea breeze. Been there, done that. As in, thought about doing that. When we stick to our systems and agreements, there's minimal bullshit. So without shouting and screaming at each other like we would have done 4 or 5 years ago, and I would have when I was younger and less mature, and they would have too. Luckily, we've done a lot of healing, a lot of therapy as a family. We've spoken a lot. We've had a lot of conversations, obviously a lot of fights, which lead to the conversations. And we've grown as a family into mature adults and individuals. And by mature, I don't mean just brush things under the rug. I mean, we talk about them, but we talk about them like smart, intelligent, peaceful adults. And so we've slowly grown into that. And I'm so glad that I pushed my family to go for these conversations, to bring mental health awareness into the forefront of our lives. We are basically raping cows on a repeated basis to get milk. That's how the dairy industry works, for those of you who don't know. And I can understand that sometimes we might be doing it in an annoying way, but really we're not intending to do it in an annoying way. It just comes across in an annoying way when your old beliefs are shattered. So when we shatter their old beliefs, and they're like, I'm just giving the kid this, I'm just giving the kid that. And you're like, you're just giving the kid this stuff is actually poison. Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. This is the next video in my personal development series. It's just going to be a short 5-minute one. I've not done a personal development video in a while, and today I'm inspired to make another one for you guys. So let's dive right into the topic. But just before that, please ignore whatever's going on around here. Actually, this room is part of this video as well, in the sense that it is part of a system and agreement which I kept with the people around me. But let me elaborate more on that later. Today's video was inspired by an incident that happened in my house just a while ago, which involved my mum. So for example, we're living here for a while because of a financial and a government situation that we had in Singapore, where they applied cooling measures which did not allow citizens, because we are citizens, me and my wife, from buying our own house, our own first house. We don't have one yet, even though we're 36 and 37 respectively. In the meantime, we agreed with my parents that we would stay here, and they graciously allowed us to stay here, and all that's wonderful. But we had some agreements. Like, for example, I would not change the layout of this room too much. So that's why this is what they want their room to look like at the moment. And another agreement that we had was that my parents would not interfere in the way that me and my wife would be nurturing and growing our child. Now, that is a huge point of contention between parents, grandparents, in-laws, and so on. And you can read all about it on the internet, have a lot of fun. But the specific example I want to tell you today was about her food. So because we're trying to live as conscious humans, and we're all spiritually awakening, and we're learning more about life, the information age, internet, blah, 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 lots of information for all of us to learn from very, very quickly, such that the growth curve of human beings today goes like that, versus a few decades ago when it was just like a steady growth rate. Now, the reason for that, I'm not going to go into that in this video, but there are a lot of spiritual links to that, and also just common sense and logic about how things accelerate, but let's skip that. But the issue that presents is that the kids or the children of today, and I'm referring to me and my wife as the kids and children here of our parents, we tend to know a lot more about health and wellness and upbringing in a wholesome way than their generation did. And in a way, that's good, because that's everything they strive towards, right? They kept telling us when we were growing up, as we tell our child now, I never had this, I never had that, I wanted to make sure you have this. And that is wonderful. But the problem arises when this much upgraded versions of the parents now start to show the parents, hey, look, we're upgraded. And parents don't really like that, not always anyway. And I can understand that sometimes we might be doing it in an annoying way, but really we're not intending to do it in an annoying way. It just comes across in an annoying way when your old beliefs are shattered. So when we shatter their old beliefs, and they're like, I'm just giving the kid this, I'm just giving the kid that. And you're like, you're just giving the kid this stuff is actually poison. Now, of course, there are counter arguments to be had as in, well, what's not poison on the earth anymore? What can we even eat at this point? I get that. But even with that applied, so let's say everything has a tinge of poison to it, right? Because of the way we've created the planet right now. Then that becomes a non-factor, right? Because like in mathematics, it's just the lowest common denominator. You just got to cut it out, right? So you remove that as a factor, and what's left is still a bunch of things that you need to contend with. Like, should we be eating broccoli today or 8 chocolates, right? We have to make that decision. Your tummy doesn't have space for both. Definitely not. So, so just now I was creating videos and creating content like I do over here, working on a new music video and a new YouTube video for a Vivo Barefoot unboxing, links above. I came out into the living room and I saw my daughter came up to me and she's like, look, I'm having these biscuits and these toasts and milk tea. And I was like, what is milk tea? And she's like, milk tea. And I was like, you're having milk tea? Like, I thought it must have been that bottled drink which they sell in Singapore from various brands, a recreation of the normal Asian black tea, right, with milk in a bottle. And I thought, okay, because somebody's come to visit, maybe there was a helper who had come to visit, one of our older helpers, maybe she brought a drink from 7-Eleven or something. And I realized that it was actually a cup of milk with tea added by my mom. And I blew my top. I mean, not like violently, but I went mad internally for a second. And I was like, it's one of those things, like, why are you giving my child caffeine, right? And according to the child, it's like, oh, it tastes delicious. Well, obviously, it tastes delicious because it's got that nice taste of tea combined with milk, which a child is used to, which we're actually also trying to cut out, by the way, which my parents weren't aware of. And that's the problem with family communication when you guys have busy careers and so on. And then, of course, a little bit of sugar added. So that thing is delicious, right? Any human in their right mind who doesn't have any problems with milk or tea or sugar will like that drink, of course. And the kid is lapping it up. So on 2 counts, we are screwing with the kid's health. We've just decided that the kid's not going to be drinking all this cow milk. We don't even know actually what it is, honestly, because I don't work at these farms, so I don't claim to know. But I can tell just by the taste that it's very different from the fresh milk you get on a farm. And that said, there's still even ethical issues about having milk to begin with. We are basically raping cows on a repeated basis to get milk. That's how the dairy industry works. For those of you who don't know, newsflash. So those of you who are very like high and mighty about, oh, I'm a vegan, I'm a vegetarian, I'm not animal, I don't kill animals. You're raping cows daily to drink your milk, just so you know. So we eventually want to try to cut that out. And we also want to try to cut out the caffeine. It doesn't just give you energy. What it's doing, it's taxing your adrenal glands and giving you adrenaline, and you feel like you have more energy. And that's why it dips so fast, because it's a fake energy boost. Because once the adrenaline wears out, it's gone. So why would you do that to a kid? Not a kid who's sleep deprived and needs this energy to climb Mount Everest. Just a happy, healthy kid living in abundance, has all the food she needs, enjoys all the food she has, the friends, the parties, the schooling, everything. And sleeps really well, like a pig, really. I mean, even then we do wake her up in the morning for school, which honestly is against my spiritual inner calling and voice. We shouldn't be doing that. But honestly, she sleeps at 9 or 10 and we have to wake her up at 7. Otherwise, she'll probably go on sleeping for 12 hours. Nothing wrong with that, like I'm saying. But we've also decided to put her in school for a while. So until we're both stable enough financially to really, really homeschool her, which is not soon, I'm imagining, or it could be, really depends how this YouTube channel and everything else goes. So I was like, why are you doing that? You're basically breaking an agreement. So my mom was like, oh, I'm just giving her a little bit. My mom was like, it's just a bit. I drank it. I was like, no, that's not a bit. That's enough caffeine to keep her up till tomorrow morning. And then my dad was like, because I blew it at the helper. I was like, it's your job to make sure that she does not get anything to eat or drink without first consulting me or my wife, right? And she went, yes, but grandma said this or grandpa said this. And I can totally understand, because she's just an employee here. So how would she know who's the higher authority level, especially when we're living in their house? It's not that we're living in our house and they came to visit. I totally get her being perplexed and confused as well. And so there are all these different things to battle with. Luckily, we're all pretty mature. So without shouting and screaming at each other like we would have done 4 or 5 years ago, and I would have when I was younger and less mature, and they would have too. Luckily, we've done a lot of healing, a lot of therapy as a family. We've spoken a lot. We've had a lot of conversations, obviously a lot of fights, which lead to the conversations. And we've grown as a family into mature adults and individuals. And by mature, I don't mean just brush things under the rug. I mean, we talk about them, but we talk about them like smart, intelligent, peaceful adults. And so we've slowly grown into that. And I'm so glad that I pushed my family to go for these conversations, to bring mental health awareness into the forefront of our lives, and to elucidate all these issues, which otherwise would have been quiet if we left it to the older generation. And that's because they were conditioned that way, to keep these things quiet and on the down low. I mean, what do you expect from the Industrial Revolution, where everyone was conditioned to be slaves and shut the fuck up, basically? So we have luckily brought that to the forefront of our family. And later, right after shooting this video, actually, I'm going to speak to them for about 5 minutes and let them know in a soft, polite, loving voice, like, hey guys, I just wanted to let you know that caffeine is not something we want to give our daughter, because I don't know if you know how it works or what you're doing, but basically caffeine is an energy. It's just making the adrenal glands work overtime. And this kid has enough adrenaline, trust me. Based on all the YouTube videos, the outdoor activities we do, the running, the everything. She has enough stimulation nonstop. She does not need caffeine. I think, and I'm intuitively assuming here, but I'll check later, what was going on was my mom was in town to visit from her work she wanted to try to make it feel or seem to herself like, oh, my granddaughter is doing an activity with me. And so it was the tea thing, because it was tea time. It was about 4 p.m. So I totally get that. But what should have been the correct thing is she should have played with the tea set without any real tea, especially for a 5 going on 6-year-old. So because my dad after that was like, oh, I just wanted you to see the tea and keep the tea here. After that incident, I went for a shower. I opened the door. I called the helper there. And my daughter had come to the door to ask me something when I was showering. And so I called the helper as well. I said, go there and empty that cup into the sink right now. Came out after the shower. The cup is still there. And I was like, why is this cup still here? My mom's trying to she's like, oh, I'm not doing anything. Like, I'm not talking to you right now. I'm talking to my employee and my daughter. Leave me be. As I emptied the cup into the sink and I walked back to the bathroom just to pick up my clothes and all the other things that left their shaver while I was showering, my dad catches me on the way in and he's like, oh, actually, I had asked her to keep the tea there because I wanted you to see how much tea there was in it. I was like, I'm an adult. I already saw how much tea was in there. I already tasted it, which you didn't know. And he's like, I didn't know that. I was like, you don't need to know that. It's not your job to interfere in these things. And forget about job, it was an agreement. And that's what this video is about. Systems and agreements. When we stick to our systems and agreements, there's minimal bullshit. So I told him, you're going back on your agreement. He was like, no, I wanted you to know because you were shouting. I was like, I was not shouting. He was like, yeah, you were shouting at the helper. I was like, that's between me and my helper, because we have a very simple system with the helper, and shouting is not like shouting in front of her face or anything. It's just me raising my volume like any full-grown man, woman, adult would when their kid is in danger. It's a very normal response for parents. It's not like unfair shouting with cuss words and things like that. Nothing like that. It was just like, this is your job. Go do it. That's it. Right? And I was like, well, way to, gaslight people and say you're shouting when actually mom was the one who didn't stick to the agreement, out of love, of course, like, my daughter, my granddaughter, I want her to have tea with me. I understand, but still not sticking to the agreement. So when you don't stick to your agreement, things happen. In this case, a little bit of me wondering, like, what's going on? Why is my daughter in danger? And that kind of reaction, and then it simmers down. In your work, if you don't stick to your systems and agreements, same thing. If you're a content creator, you're an audio producer, you edit audio, you edit videos, you're an influencer, you're a coach, you're a day jobber, whatever it is, business owner, systems and agreements are things that make things run extremely, extremely smoothly. Both systems and agreements. And basically the two are like kind of intertwined, because the system that you create for yourself is just an agreement with yourself. It's like, this is how I'm going to do my work every day. That's a system. Having a calendar, that's a system. Having an auto deduction payment for whatever bill you have, that's a system. Systems just make things cleaner. And if you actually think about it, everything is a system. Think about it. Even if you say, oh, I'm not into this city living and this system, it's too systematic. I want to live on the beach. I want to pluck mangoes and have sex with wonderful men and women and have wonderful babies and live in a polygamous society. I want to, look at the moon and breathe in the sea breeze. Been there, done that. As in, thought about doing that. Even there are systems. Because think about it. You'll be sleeping and waking up with the sun cycles and the moon cycles, which is also a system. And as Sadhguru said before in one of his videos, everything is going in a circular motion in this universe. So whether you like it or not, you're inside a big system. Whether it's a system that the government put on you with guns and warships and whatever. I don't know what they do in your country. In my country, it's pretty systematic. But yours is, systematic maybe in a bad way, and I'm sorry if it is. But whether it's an oppressive thing that you're facing or a very natural thing you're facing from the universe, they are both still systems. And if you introduce more systems into your work and more agreements with the people around you, and you guys stick to the systems and agreements, you're going to have, well, obviously, a very systematic life. But what that means is you're going to have a very fuss-free life, a very emotionally balanced life, maybe even a physically balanced life if your systems involve exercising and so on. You're going to have maybe an expected life, a reliable life. You kind of can have your ducks in a row if you really want them to be. Obviously, we cannot control everything, but even falling out of that control sometimes is a system, because that's how it works. There's day and there's night. So there's a system within another system, and this just keeps expanding like all things in the universe. In line with today's video and topic, personal development, I'm sorry for the extra noise. That's my cat at the door trying to come in. If you hear any tapping sounds. Are you bringing systems and methods and structure and also some agreements of however tight or loose that system needs to be, and whatever you need that works for you? You might say, like, I have a system, but it's not very rigid. Sure. But just saying that is an agreement you're having with yourself. Now, are you sticking to that agreement, right? Or are you just completely letting go, right? If you completely let go, it's still fine, because you'll still be within the systems of the universe. And those will set you back on track. If you try to, I live in the trees now and I stay awake at night, you won't be able to stay awake at night for more than a few weeks, because then your health will be upside down, and you'll realize that the sun will make you energetic and the night will make you sleepy, and sooner or later you will align. So whichever way we look at this, all I'm saying is, don't misalign yourself by your own doing, unless you're doing it on purpose, because that is just stupid behavior. So try not to introduce stupidity into your day when you are actually very intelligent, and you can boost your earnings, your learnings, your growth, and everything on earth just by sticking to agreements with each other, keeping things stable, keeping things well planned as well as you can plan, and then let it into the hands of the universe, right? Don't agree on something and then repeatedly, like a child, go like, oh, I'm not going to do that. Oh, I'm not. Then why did you even agree to it? Right, Mom? Why did we even have an agreement when we moved into the house, right? We had an agreement because we knew that she would be tempted to interfere, or, if you're looking at it in a positive way, not interfere, nourish, nurture, cradle, whatever nice word you want to use, envelope the child in a loving way, right? But that can interfere with the parent's idea, who's now in between the grandparent and the grandchild. And rightfully so, I guess, because we gave birth to them, or however you want to view that. That's a whole nother Pandora's box, depending on which books you read. But yeah, so we set the system there so that that would not happen. So by revisiting the system, by revising the system, by talking about it again and again, we can remember our agreements with each other, we can uphold those agreements, we can honor those agreements, and we can move forward in a way where we are respecting each other and ourselves. And this is your agreements with other people and your agreements with yourself. And hopefully, if you do that, and I believe it's true, you will have a much more pleasant life. At least that's worked in my life. And so I wanted to share that with you guys since this is my channel. And hopefully that can benefit you in some way or the other. So take it easy. If you like this video, hit like. Please subscribe to this channel. Turn on the bell icon for notifications for more personal development and holistic lifestyle videos in all aspects, because I believe in living a very balanced life and exploring all parts of life in a very passionate way. I just am that way. I live spiritually, and that's just what comes to me naturally. So that's what I do. Take it easy. That's what this channel is about. Thanks for watching, and enjoy the other videos popping up around my head right now, a few different playlists. And if you have any questions, concerns, or queries, you can either reach out in the comments or send me an email. And if you want to consult even, we can go from there. Take it easy and have fun.